Hello, everybody. Welcome to Know Your Money. I'm Bronwyn Wayner.
And I'm Craig Finch, and we are from Growth Financial Planning. We hope you enjoy our podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Know Your Money. Hello, Craig. Today we have Chantelle from S&S Debt Counseling, and she's just going to be here to explain a little bit what debt counseling is and when you should consider putting yourself under debt counseling. And yeah, Chantelle, welcome and thank you.
Welcome, Chantelle.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Quickly to explain let's start at what debt counseling is, because there is so much negative social media out there regarding debt counseling. We have been doing debt counseling since 2008. Debt counseling came into play when our government signed in the National Credit Act into South Africa in 2007 to regulate credit and debt given by creditors to any client. When the Credit Act was signed in, it became, they saw that a lot of clients are over indebted, meaning that they have too much debt and too little money. So they borrow from Peter to pay Paul. With that said, to regulate the credit market in South Africa, debt counselors came into play. We got proper education and training at the University of Pretoria Law Department. So it's not a legal diploma, but you have to be very, very educated in the legal system. So that's how debt counseling came into play, is to assist clients that can no more borrow money to live on and found themselves totally over indebted. You can also become over indebted by overtime that's been cut, maybe losing another income in the household. There's a lot of ways, or being removed from your current position at a job, going to a lower division of a new job. There's so many reasons for your income not to be sufficient to service your debt anymore. You have money, just not enough. So now what?
So your debts are getting bigger and bigger. Is that what you're saying?
And what does debt counseling do?
Yeah.
Debt counseling came in is where we sit with the client and you do a proper financial analysis of their household income. Then you make sure that what is the money that the household needs for their living expenses every month. Rent, food, petrol, car, insurance, policies. Then what is left over of the household income that must be allocated to debt. That amount is then rearranged to repay debt at a lower installment. So it's a debt restructuring program. It's a legal program. We restructure your debt repayment to lower installments.
Okay.
So that it's affordable for you to settle your debt. And that is our goal, is to make people debt free.
Sorry to interrupt you there. You take all the debt that they have, let's say credit card, car, home loan, and you put it into one pot.
That's what we do. So the counseling process starts as follows. Let's start at the beginning. When a client is in a certain situation where he cannot service the actual debt repayment due to every creditor every month, and the credit provider picks this up, the credit provider has to send a specific letter to the client. It's called a Section 86B. In this letter, the creditor tells the client, I see that you are struggling to pay your debt timeously and to the amount due. You can do the following, under which is please go for debt counseling. And that's usually where we pick the clients up, or the client comes to us before he gets this letter. Also, this letter states that if you do not go see a debt counsellor within 7 working days, we will have to proceed with legal action. So debt counselling stops any legal action that the creditor may or try to impose on a client that cannot service his debt anymore. So I always tell clients it's like in the olden days, you're under the yellow sometime umbrella. I don't know if you can remember that advert, so it keeps you safe. So I'm going to do just a very quick example. Let's take, for example, we have a household with an income of 20. Their monthly expenses to keep this household running is 10. So we've got 10,000 rand left to service their debt. But the total debt repayment of their house, their car, their credit cards, loans, doctors, it doesn't matter, is 16,000. So they have money to repay the debt, just not enough. So a client comes to us, there's a certain procedure that we follow. The procedure is on our website, put out beautifully exactly every step, in which we contact the clients or the household's creditors and say, right, he applied for debt counselling, stop everything that you're busy is with the client, and then the creditor takes the file and hands it over to their debt review department where there is trained employees that knows the process. On that, the creditors give us information and all the particulars of every loan that the client has, and then we take the 10 that the client has and we divide that 10 between all the creditors that he owes money as a repayment. Let's say your bond was 10, we can reduce it to 6. A lot of creditors are very lenient, and if we see it should be, interest rates are reduced, and there is some cases where we make the interest rate 0 because this client will never get out of debt. Because the installment that we offer the creditor, the reduced installment, doesn't even cover interest. So there is serious legal negotiations that do go on in the back.
And do you do that on behalf of the client?
Oh yes. The client do not take any call, any letter, nothing. Okay. He's not come back. We're in the forefront. You do have creditors that still continue phoning clients and bullying them, as we call it, and intimidate them. And it's a client just need to be strong and say, sorry, I'm under debt counselling, and by law, you cannot touch me or speak to me. Speak to my debt counsellor. Awesome. And then the next process is we have a certain time that we do the negotiations and then the legal matters out. So we do take the whole file to court, in which we, as the debt counsellor, act on behalf of the client, and we summons all his creditors to say, if you do not like our repayment proposal, come to court. We have never not received a granted court order on behalf of the client, and then the creditors have to restructure their system to allow the client to repay his debt.
Then do you pay, say, the store that they might owe money, or the credit card, or do you pay that first and you try and get rid of that? Or does everybody get a little piece of it until it's paid?
You know what? It is kind of like a domino effect, what we try to implement, like the smaller ones first. Your debt review installment will always stay 10. It will never reduce. It will never go up. It will always stay 10. Let's say you have 10 creditors. So we always try and pay the smallest one finished. And then the first creditor's installment goes to, so number 1 becomes the repayment of number 1 and 2. And when number 2 is finished, number 1, 2's installment goes to number 3. So this far, we've been going on since 2008, and we have clients that have settled all their debts, including their home loans, before the contractual installment or contractual agreement with them in the bank, where they would have paid back the house in 30 years. It was settled in 25.
And if the client is in debt review and you've consolidated the debt, are they able to take out more debt?
No, that's where the hard part comes. And that is where the
Okay.
counseling comes in with the client, where you have to assist them and guide them and support them into a new way of living where there is no more a Woolies card, there's no more a credit card. From now on, you can call it the semi-cash system. What is in your bank
Okay.
is what you have. And we make the people cut up their credit cards. We've got a big jar in our office and says, if you're really committed to this process, here's a scissor, give me your cards. It's
Okay.
very hard for them, but you know what? It takes 2, 3, 4 months. And we do support them emotionally and mentally. I'm that Chantelle, a registered DBT therapist. So there is struggles where we also help. Marriage problems, we help.
Yeah.
Debt brings a lot of trauma into a household,
Yes.
husbands, wives, and that's a big part of the healing process, not just to get them out of debt, but also to build up their self-esteem, because there's nothing like not being able to pay your debt and being hounded.
Does the legal system stop them opening another credit card?
Absolutely. They are the National Credit Regulator is a system that is linked to all the credit bureaus in South Africa. And we do register clients on this system. And it's like a little code. So when a client wants to apply for credit and the credit provider checks on his ID, the credit bureau, Experience, or TransUnion, or whichever one of the big ones, there is a note that this client is currently under debt review, and by law, no creditor is allowed to give him any more debt.
And is there any step a person can take before debt review that you recommend?
A lot of creditors do have a debt rearrangement department where you can renegotiate your debt repayments with the bank. And if that is a way you want to go, I always advise to go. But you're not protected. It's a side agreement that you have with the bank. So do you default? Even with we've seen people defaulting with 10 Rand, where they haven't paid the full rearranged repayment. Creditors took legal action.
Yeah.
And also because of, just to put in there that with the debt review, we as debt counselors do not touch the client's money. We're not allowed to. There is distribution agencies that has been approved by the National Credit Regulator that we use with proper programs that we are all linked to. So the client makes I'm going to go back to my example, makes the 10,000 Rand payment into the PDA's account, and our proposal distribution on what money must go where. That's how we work on the system. So we don't get the money. The money goes into the distribution agency and it is distributed as we have suggested and the court order confirmed on behalf of the client. And then the client have access to their statements, access to their distribution, so they always see where their money is going, and so do we, and so do the creditor.
Great. Thank you so much, Chantelle. I think it was an informative session, and if anyone is struggling, your details will be in the bottom of our episode.
A good service you offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, would like to subscribe, please visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.